Here's your words. Here's your words.
I was murdered.
You were murdered. Okay, you obviously weren't murdered because you're alive and you're basically intact. You weren't murdered, buddy. You weren't murdered, buddy.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Benny. Whatever goes around, comes around. And the person who has been calling for cancellations of everyone he doesn't like, his name's Don Lemon. He used to work at CNN. Oh, boy. He sure did love himself, his show, his little position there. Now it's all gone. Don Lemon has been canceled. And thankfully, we have some more fire to add to this burning dumpster fire of Don Lemon's career, which is that we now know part of why he was cut by CNN. It was a disastrous interview with a Republican where Don Lemon kept essentially arguing like a moron about the Civil War and black people and the Second Amendment. Embarrassing. Not as embarrassing, however, as a CNN saying that Don Lemon is a liar on his way out the door. Don Lemon released this purple text statement this morning. I don't know what. He says he's been terminated by CNN. He's stunned after 17 years. I wish that someone from management would have had the decency to tell him directly, to which CNN said Don Lemon's statement about this morning's event is inaccurate. He was offered an opportunity to meet management, but instead he released a statement on Twitter. So CNN just admitted that their top host for the past 17 years is a liar. Not a great PR move, guys. Thanks, Jack. But now we know exactly why he was fired. It was because Don Lemon had this fascinating interaction with Vivek Ramaswamy, who is a Republican running for president, very successful entrepreneur, been on my show, been on a lot of shows. Vivek's a smart dude and absolutely took Don Lemon to the cleaners. According to Aaron Rupar, who's a far left-wing commentator and pundit, according to the New York Times, this interview that Don Lemon conducted last week with Vivek played a role in his firing. Note the co-host Poppy Harlow sitting there silently while Lemon goes after Vivek. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the full clip for your viewing pleasure, and we think that it will bring you actually a great deal of pleasure and joy. Please watch.
I was referring to Joe Biden and his expression of wanting to put them back in chains dating back to Lyndon Johnson. I think Lyndon Johnson's so-called Great Society was one of the greatest misnomers in American political history, where even back then in the 1960s, 70% plus of black kids were born into two-parent homes. Today, that number is less than 30% in the opposite direction. The very policies that we implemented in this country in the name of helping black Americans have actually been disastrous for black Americans and all Americans. And I think that that's something that we need to wake up to.
In 1865, you were talking about the black codes, right?
That's right.
Passed, enacted to make it a crime for a black person to carry a gun in the South. But you're equating that to the current president? You're referring to economic chains? What are you saying?
Well, I was referring to Joe Biden's, I think, ill-chosen expression to say they're the party that wants to put you back into chains. What I'm actually saying is that if you look at the policies of the modern Democratic Party.
About Democrats.
Absolutely. So what I'm saying is that actually it's policies like that of Lyndon Johnson and Joe Biden that are actually holding black Americans back.
The war on poverty?
Yes, and in particular, his Great Society, where he actually created incentives in the family, where if you're a family, you could actually get more money by not having the father in the home. Guess what you get? You get what you pay for. I think it's been really bad for the black community. I think it's really bad for all Americans.
Do you have anything on this before I move on to China?
I don't see what one has to do with the other, but go on. I took up a lot of time with Fox News.
Oh, it's fine. We have time.
I don't really see what one has to do with the other, especially consider and using the Civil War to talk about black Americans. That war was not fought for black people to have guns. That's not.
That war was fought for black people to have freedoms in this country. Yeah. Actually, that's why the Civil War was fought.
Okay.
And the sad part about it.
That wasn't fought for black people to have guns, I think.
Actually, you know, funny fact is, black people did not get to enjoy the other freedoms until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that that's one of the lessons that we learned.
Still aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on that, Don. I disagree with you. I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
When you are in black skin and you live in this country, then you can disagree with me. But we're not. You mentioned in here that we have three different shades of melanin.
Don, I think we have to be able to talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. Black Americans today, to say that, compare that to 1865 and 1964,
I think for you to compare it to 1865 and 1964
is
actually, I think it's insulting to black people. It's insulting to me as an African American. I don't want to sit there and argue with you because it's infuriating for you to put those things together. It's not right. Your telling of history is wrong.
What part of the history was wrong?
What part of the history was wrong? That the Civil War was fought. You're making people think that the Civil War was fought for black people, only for black people to get guns and for black people to have.
The Civil War was fought for black people in this country to get freedoms, a noble mission. And I think that even after we succeeded, we had to actually secure those freedoms.
To reduce it in a speech at the NRA to say you're making people think, or you're trying to say that black people to get guns, that was the reason that you're there at the NRA. That was the reason for the Civil War.
It is a fact.
That's reductive.
It's not
and
reductive,
I think it's
Don.
insulting. There are a whole plethora of reasons that for the Civil War.
With due respect, I find your explanation reductive and actually insulting, including to black Americans, to say that black people today, compared to 1964, 1865, haven't made progress in part because of the freedoms we secured. And the Second Amendment was part of what secured them that freedom.
I cannot keep a thought if you guys are talking to me in my ear. So hang on one second. So to say that black people, say what you said again.
Black people secured their freedoms after the Civil War. It is a historical fact, Don. Just study it. Only after their Second Amendment rights were secured.
They were not secured their freedoms after the Civil War. That is not, you are discounting Reconstruction. You're discounting a whole host of things that happened after the Civil War when it comes to African Americans, including the whole reason that the Civil Rights Movement happened is because black people did not secure their freedoms after the Civil War, and that things turned around. People tried to change the freedoms that were supposed to happen.
And you know how they got it? They got their
Second
Second Amendment rights, and they actually got the NRA played a big role in that. But today, Don, the
NRA did not play a big role in that.
They trained black Americans how to use firearms.
That's a lie. That's not. The NRA did not play a big role in that.
This is just historical fact. But
Don, not historical fact.
The part that I find,
because you say it's historical fact,
the part that I find insulting is when you say today black Americans don't have those rights after we have gone through civil rights revolution in this country.
You are sitting here telling an African American about the rights and what you find insulting about the way I live, the skin I live in every day.
Here's where you and I have a
the
different
freedoms
point
that
of view.
black and white that black people don't have in this country, and that black people do have.
Well, here's where you and I have a different point of view. I think we should be able to express our views regardless of the color of our skin. We should have this debate
I'm not saying you
without me regarding you as a black man,
insulting that
but
you're
me regarding you
here,
as a fellow citizen.
That you're
That's what I think we should see.
Whatever ethnicity you are, explaining to me
whatever ethnicity
about
I'm,
what it's like to be black.
Whatever
in America.
ethnicity I'm, I'll tell you what I am. I'm an Indian American. I'm proud of it. But I think we should have this debate. Black, white doesn't matter.
I think we should have this
on
debate.
The content of the ideas.
If you're going to do it, you should do it in an honest way and in a fair way. And what you're doing is not an honest and fair way. Okay? But we appreciate you coming on.
With due respect, Don, I look forward to continuing that conversation.
Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to survive that one. Don Lemon did not. He's been fired. He also, of course, was facing a lot of accusations of being just a toxic individual to work around, somebody who is just absolutely repulsive to the women and the females that he worked with, women and females storming off the set because of his misogyny and because of his demeaning nature and experiences, saying women are not in their prime if they're running for president, so on and so forth. You've followed it all. Who cares now? Don Lemon will have no more career. Nobody's ever going to follow Don Lemon. Nobody cared about Don Lemon. He's one of those people that was propped up by corporate media. Tucker Carlson, on the other hand, is going to have a incredible rebirth, like a phoenix. I think Tucker Carlson would be liberated by the murder-suicide that Fox News has decided to engage in here. Tucker Carlson has multiple job offers stacked up, and I think will do quite well for himself. We'll wait and see. It's your boy Benny, saving America. Thought you got some enjoyment out of that. I certainly did. Way to go, Vivek. Career ender. See ya. Thank you for watching. Our channel's here to meme the libs until they cry and then to meme them crying. Their tears, they taste just like sweet, delicious ice cream. Salty, too. We ridicule the establishment and the libs because of you. Your support keeps us going. So if you like what you saw, please punch the subscribe button, click like, and ring the little bell so that you know when we're live. Don't you want to know when we're live? And make sure that you subscribe to our email list, just in case the plug gets pulled, as tends to happen. If you want to see more of our videos, click here or here. My name is Benny Johnson. Stay free, base patriots.